Ladies and gentlemen, up next on stage we have the final match of the event, the Pokemon Video Game Masters Division Finals! Our competitors are, from the United States, Player 1, Jeudy Azzarelli! Versus Player 2, from Korea, Sejun Park!
I love those intros. Sejun already announcing to the world the Pachirisu potentially going to be the MVP of this. But both of these players coming out with huge fan followings in the crowd. I don't know if you could feel it at home, but it was basically, it felt like an earthquake here in the stadium.
Yeah, I think these players deserve it too, and it's kind of an interesting matchup for the fans here. We got Sejun Park, one of the most accomplished and popular trainers in the world. I think definitely the most influential trainer in the world as far as anytime Sejun used anything at any point all season, players took note of it. It adjusted the metagame, the rest of the world. So someone who has a huge following here, but he definitely deserves. On the other hand, you've got Jeudy here. Everyone loves the underdog story, and as the American here playing in the capital of the United States here, Washington, D.C., certainly expect that a lot of the home crowd will be on his side.
Yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see if Jeudy can ride that momentum over Sejun Park. We sort of touched on this at the beginning, but Sejun definitely considered the favorite coming in here, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Pachirisu falling over there may be ominous things to come, but
ominous early warning.
I think Sejun's definitely the favorite here, though. I mean, he's certainly got the experience. It's hard to argue against him here, and I think that's some of the fun of this matchup. Whenever you go into a match like this with one really accomplished player, you expect him to come out on top, but we've seen all weekend that's not always what happens. A lot of the players who did very well in past World Championships had really tough runs here. Both the previous World Champions were eliminated pretty quickly here, so just because he's the favorite doesn't mean he'll come out on top. However, I do think that there's a reason most of the community would say he's the most deserving player who's never won a World Championship before. It'd be a very tough opponent for Jeudy to kind of try to come on top of here. But Jeudy's come so far for a reason. He really came with a big breakout performance in the United States National Tournament, making the top 8 there. I was very close to moving on and doing so well here. It's a sign that 2 tournaments in a row like that with such fierce competition, he's probably for real, right? He's going to keep doing this in tournaments. So even though he hasn't quite built that legacy yet, every win is someone's first big one. And Sejun might have to be careful that he's not on the wrong side of one here.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes Pokemon's all about momentum and when you get hot. And if Jeudy has just started getting hot at Nationals and he's carried it through to Worlds, that's the exact right time to do so.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting Sejun to lose the 2011 World Championship Finals for the senior division either, but Sejun did get the second place trophy that time. So we'll have to see here if Sejun will be able to do what he couldn't do the first time and get that first World Championships for him.
All right, we are jumping right into team preview. On your screen, you're seeing Sejun Park from Korea's team. Lead slot, Pachirisu, Gothitelle, Gardevoir, Gyarados, Talonflame, and Garchomp. Pachirisu chants already starting in the crowd. Up against Jeudy Azzarelli off screen, he's running a Tyranitar, a Charizard, Salamence, Garchomp, Lucario, and Rotom. And it's going to be an explosive battle.
Absolutely. We've got a really fascinating matchup here. We see the players getting into it quickly here. I think on Sejun's side, that Gardevoir, which we didn't see the last time he was on stream, is likely going to be a big deal here. There's 3 Pokemon in Jody's team that are weak to Fairy type attacks. There's not a single Pokemon in his team that resists both Fairy and Psychic type, so should be a good matchup for the Gardevoir. We did see also Sejun using that Mega Gyarados previously. That Rotom Jody's using that we haven't seen all season. Very good against Gyarados. It's the only Rotom that's neither weak to that Earthquake and resistant to that water type attack. So it should help him out a little bit here if he's choosing to use it. Also a good matchup for that Tyranitar and that Garchomp offensively for Jeudy. Though he's going to have to be very careful to avoid the support Pokemon in Sejun's team with Pachirisu and Gothitelle.
Right. And just as you mentioned, that Gardevoir on the stage alongside alongside that Garchomp. Up against Jody's Tyranitar and Charizard leads. And let's just go one more time. The first turn of the first battle. Let's hear it one more time for Jeudy and Sejun here in the studio. Interesting leads here from Jeudy. Leads both of his potential weather setters here up against that Gardevoir and the Garchomp.
Yeah, this is definitely one matchup that won't come down to a weather war. Jeudy's probably going to have a preference between which one of the two he wants up, but without a competing weather here, he can afford to be a little bit more careful. Or he's a little bit less careful.
Yeah.
What he does need to be careful about is Gothitelle switching it at an inopportune time here, especially with a couple choice Pokemon on his team. He's going to be really careful about what he lets it do.
We do see a Protect coming out from that Charizard immediately, but Moonblast from Gardevoir gets the super effective attack onto Tyranitar, but it is going to fire back with a Stone Edge, getting a whole lot of damage there. Rock Slide from Garchomp is going to be avoided by Charizard thanks to that Protect. Deal a little bit of damage to that Tyranitar, enough to put it into Moonblast KO range. Sandstorm not quite enough to get the KO onto Gardevoir there.
Creates a complicated decision here for Sajin. Gardevoir with one tick of sand, going to be able to knock it out now. Do you withdraw the Gardevoir? Because on Jody's end, he's kind of in a difficult situation also. If he wants to leave this Charizard in, he has to Mega Evolve it, most likely, which would negate that sand. So both sides have some things to consider here. Tyranitar has to be careful since it'd be knocked out by another Moonblast with that faster Gardevoir. Both Pokemon showing their choice scarves there. They have to both be careful on this turn, but I wouldn't be surprised to see one of the two of them take a risk. This is going to be a matchup where they both have a lot of very offensive Pokemon, and there's going to be a lot of high-risk maneuvers. Whichever one of them is going to get the most cheap attacks there when opponents not expecting it is probably going to come out with the win here.
And it looks like Jeudy is going to switch out that Tyranitar for Mo Rotom. Double switching, does not like the matchup from either of his Pokemon in favor of that Salamence now. Is going to be able to intimidate the opposing Garchomp, but Gardevoir is not going to be too worried about that. The Moonblast is going to come back out from that Gardevoir onto Mo Rotom this time, dealing some more great damage there, as Dragon Claw from Garchomp is going to be used on that Salamence. The berry is going to help and deal just a very little bit amount of damage there thanks to that Happen Berry. And the stand is going to be able to get the KO on Gardevoir right there at the end. So Jeudy Azzarelli taking the first Pokemon knockout.
Yeah, Sajin choosing to make a sacrifice there. Likely he expected that to happen there, judging by the way he played out that turn. We just see the Citrus Berry activating for Rotom there, healing up there to get Jeudy in a little better board position there with higher health Pokemon in both of his slots. He does get the early lead there, which is a big deal. I think removing that Gardevoir is a big deal. I mentioned previously that there are a lot of Pokemon on his side of the field that are weak to Moonblast. He's brought at least two of them, so he really doesn't want to have to deal with that for long periods of time. I think that letting it go so early is dangerous unless Sage's got a great plan here for how he wants to deal with the situation without it, because if he was able to get 3 or 4 Moonblasts off, it's very likely Sage would win the game there. So huge start for Jeudy to get rid of it.
Yeah, and we do see the Pachirisu on the field, and the crowd goes crazy as soon as Pachirisu makes it out. Interesting choice to bring in. Pachirisu is a very disruptive Pokemon, of course able to abuse that Follow Me ability to redirect any attacks towards it, and a bevy of other support options as well.
Yeah, the Follow Me here is an interesting option. In this matchup, it's not going to be able to do too much with its Volt Absorb, but it will be a little frustrating against Rotom if it's out against Gyarados later. Well, it won't be able to use that Thunderbolt in fear of just healing the Pachirisu.
And Salamence does not want to stay on the field, scared away from that Pachirisu. Switches out for Tyranitar. That Follow Me is going to come out from the Pachirisu. We will see the Rock Slide from Garchomp. Tyranitar avoids it, but will be able to connect with Rotom to deal some damage there. Very bulky Rotom, as you can see, and Leaf Storm coming out onto Pachirisu. The poor little squirrel only takes about 50% from that and eats its Citrus Berry to heal right back up, while Rotom has lost a lot of special attack and a lot of offensive power from it.
Yeah, it's impressive how bulky that little Pachirisu is. You look at it just out there as a little tiny squirrel thing. You don't really expect it to be very bulky, but it takes almost nothing from that Leaf Storm. You have to exaggerate. You can't exaggerate, rather, how powerful that is. It's the same power as a Draco Meteor and just nothing, Rotom definitely not as powerful, especially as some of the dragons, as far as putting those attacks out. But, the metagame lives in fear of overheat from Mo Rotom's brother, Rotom Heat. It's the same base power.
And we do see Garchomp's going to protect, letting Pachirisu do everything. Oh, the correct prediction there. The Nuzzle from Pachirisu going to be able to get the damage and paralysis onto that Tyranitar. That Scarf Tyranitar is now worthless. Now it's paralyzed. Huge protects coming out from Sajin, blocking both the Ice Punch and the Will-O-Wisp and getting the paralysis on that Scarf Tyranitar.
Yeah, excellent play there. He probably noticed the Cherish Ball previously, knowing that this Tyranitar is from that promotion. only way you can get Ice Punch. So also notice there's no egg moves on this Tyranitar, so he gets some useful information there, and also makes a fantastic play by slowing it down. Usually gets the knockout on Guard Chop with Ice Punch. There's a chance it survives with some defensive investment, but not an issue there. Now Guard Chop going to be able to deal with this Tyranitar as it normally would. Rotom not too threatening out in the field now with that reduced special attack from using Leaf Storm, so better position now for Sajin to be in.
And when Pachirisu is going to redirect all targets, I'm pretty sure Jeudy would want to get that off the field right now anyway. As we do see Garchomp's Dragon Claw is going to attack that Rotom, and Will-O-Wisp redirected away from Garchomp onto Pachirisu, now burnt. Will be taking that burn damage every turn in addition to some more turns of sand as Ice Punch comes through from Tyranitar, still dealing almost no damage. And fortunately for Sajin, that Sandstorm is going to subside this turn so that we don't have to worry about any additional chip damage.
Yeah, Pachirisu now has to at least be attacked once more, or it'll survive 2 more turns after that burn damage, but likely going to follow me and go down anyway. Garchomp probably needs to try to get a knockout on this turn. Doesn't necessarily need to get both of the enemy Pokemon since it can get another one on the next turn after the protection from the Follow Me, but Sage is going to need to start picking up Pokemon here. There's a lot of weakened Pokemon on Jody's side, but he does need to start evening out the Pokemon score. Even with a bunch of weakened Pokemon, playing from 2-4 down is going to be pretty tough. However, Garchomp still has a full health here. We still have a full health Pokemon in the back. So Sage is definitely setting up to make a comeback here. He's trying to win the late game, not necessarily just on Pokemon score.
And it looks like Sajin's going to protect his Garchomp, sending out Talonflame as Protect comes out from Pachirisu. Going to try and keep that Pachirisu on the field. Leaf Storm into the Protect. Ice Punch into that Talonflame. That's some good damage onto Talonflame. And the freeze! The Ice Punch gets the freeze onto Talonflame. It's stuck in mid-air. Can't do anything. Really unfortunate break there on the switch in.
Now you wonder how it stays floating like that, but a really, really big freeze there. And that was sort of the issue of that Pokemon lead that Jeudy started to accumulate there, is that one wrong thing happening and there's not enough ground to make it up. I think if Sajin had gotten a position where he just had mostly full health Talonflame and mostly full health Garchomp out, it would have been a good situation there. But Pachirisu now only has a turn left unless it's able to absorb a Thunderbolt with that Volt Absorb. And Talonflame is...
the thaw as Overheat comes out from Talonflame. Sajin is not playing around. Overheat gets the KO onto the Rotom. Rotom, problems. It faints and goes back to Jody's trainer. Tyranitar is still out though. You see the Life Orb from Talonflame as Super Fang from Pachirisu, not dealing quite that much, but the paralysis. Tyranitar fully paralyzed. Sajin was not happy about that turn of freeze, and Pachirisu finally faints thanks to the burn.
Yeah, Pachirisu certainly did his job, though. It's gotten Sage into a very manageable position now. Even though he's facing a decent Pokemon deficit here, he does have a bunch of damage on most of Jody's Pokemon, so it's not impossible he can come back from this one. However, he does still have that Salamence in the back. That Intimidate will be a big problem for both of these Pokemon, but the combination of Brave Bird and Rock Slide is still going to do a lot of damage to Charizard here if Sajin chooses to go that route. Even though Jeudy looks like he has the lead there, I don't know if he really likes this position. He's going to have to cut this very, very close to come out with a win.
Of course, you have to be careful with that Talonflame too, because it deals just as much damage to itself as it does to you. We do see Salamence switching in right now, going to get that Intimidate off onto both the Garchomp and the Talonflame. Going to be huge coming up as both of those physical attackers are going to want to abuse their physical moves. Charizard going to go ahead and Mega Evolve into Mega Charizard Y, going to summon the Drought, going to bring the Sun and strengthen the attack of all the fire moves on the side. Of course, Talonflame probably not going to want to be using that anymore, but Brave Bird will come out from Talonflame using that ability to make it priority. It's going to deal a lot of damage to Charizard, a little bit over half. Hits the recoil damage and the Life Orb damage, and the Rock Slide is going to connect with both Charizard and the Salamence. Is it going to be enough? Gets the KO on Charizard. Salamence still around, but Charizard going down for free. Pretty big deal.
Yeah, I think Sajin should be able to take this one. And that Super Fang in the last turn by Pachirisu there, but it seemed like it was so irrelevant, only doing 17 damage there. I don't know if it's actually going to end up being so. With that extra damage there, you're going to feel very safe that even intimidated, Talonflame can finish off this Tyranitar if it needs to. I've already seen that the Salamence has the Hobbenberry, not a Choice Scarf, so Garchomp should be able to finish it off, and we see the forfeit.
Yeah, Jeudy going ahead and forfeiting, and Sajin Park takes game 1 of this best-of-3 set. Let's hear it for Sajin, everybody. Huge win for Sajin. You always want to take that first game in a series. all the control is in his favor now.
Yeah, it's going to be a really overwhelming situation for Jeudy to try to deal with now. Not only are you in the finals of the World Championships, but against the player considered by many people to be the best in the world. You have to win 2 games in a row.
Yeah.
Very great game by Sagen there. It's not just that he won, but the way he won. He really understood what he needed to do there. He planned out the game so that he would be able to win in the end. It didn't matter if he fell down behind early as far as Pokemon remaining. It just mattered if he could close out the game. I think a lot of times players will get a little too involved with the trading each turn, where you're just trying to win through tactics. Like, I'm going to win this turn, I'm going to outsmart my opponent, I'm going to get this knockout. But the long-term plan isn't there. We really see that from Sagen, where even though he seemed like he was losing most of the game, he ended up in a situation where he won the game cleanly because he always kept the end of the game in the mind, not just the beginning.
Yeah, definitely strong play from Sagen. We are going to go right into game 2. Sagen on the top of your screen, Jeudy on the bottom. Salamence and Lucario going to be the leads for Jeudy this time, as Sagen's going to go ahead and throw out that Garchomp and Gardevoir once again. So Jeudy switching up the leads a little bit, and Sagen just decided to go with what works.
Yeah, I love Jeudy's switch up here. We saw the Mega Charizard throughout all of Jody's previously streamed matches. However, this Lucario can go both ways, it looks like. It does have Lucario Knight, so it's capable of Mega Evolution, and we see it
As
here.
It is. Yeah, Mega Lucario making its first appearance on the stream here. Going to go ahead and Mega Evolve, get a lot of additional power on the field for Jeudy. And Bullet Punch coming up from Mega Lucario onto Gardevoir. Not quite enough for the one-hit KO. Dazzling Gleam, the choice from Gardevoir. Super effective damage on Salamence, and the Earthquake not affecting Salamence or Gardevoir thanks to that telepathy, but will be able to get the damage onto Lucario. Is it going to be enough? Is Mega going down? The Mega goes down. Turn 1 for Jeudy. A huge gambit from him, did not pay off, but Rock Tomb from Salamence going to hit that Garchomp and slow it down just a little bit.
Yeah, excellent play there on Sagen's end. I don't know if he trained his Pokemon with that Lucario Bullet Punch in mind, but I think that was one of Jody's main tricks of this matchup, the ability to use that Mega Lucario, which hadn't been seen before, and try to get a quick knockout of that Gardevoir. Once again, we see it very low in range of Sandstorm damage, but this time the damage looks like it may have been done. Garchomp's still in great position to try to do some damage here. Dragon Claw and Salamence or Earthquake and Tyranitar do some very serious damage. Tyranitar's going to have to lock into a move here, which will help out Sagen significantly, planning out the rest of the game here. And getting one more knockout, even if it's not on Tyranitar, would prevent it from switching moves again, creating a much more winnable endgame situation for Sagen.
Jeudy is going to protect that Salamence, does not want to let this Dazzling Gleam get the KO there. Going to deal no damage to that Salamence, but super effective damage onto Tyranitar. Rock Slide is the choice from Jeudy. That's the play. Going to pick up the KO onto Gardevoir, get some damage onto Garchomp. Hope for a flinch here. Could be a huge for Jeudy. The Earthquake is going to go through. No flinches. Earthquake onto Tyranitar. This is a super effective hit. Is it going to be enough? No! Survives with just 12 HP. Salamence taking some Sandstorm damage, but a good KO, a KO that Jeudy needed.
Yeah, he does get some progress here. No longer has to worry about that Dazzling Gleam, which could easily knock out both of those Pokemon, but he gave up a lot to get it. Tyranitar on the verge of being knocked out now. Salamence also very low. Garchomp to easily knock out either of these Pokemon now that Tyranitar is locked into that Rock Slide. We did see Jeudy come back from a seemingly unwinnable situation during his top 4 match with that Rock Slide Tyranitar, getting some key critical hits and flinches. He might need that again here. Garchomp alone is creating a lot of threat right now, and we haven't even seen 2 of Sagen's Pokemon yet.
Yeah, and it looks like it's going to be Pachirisu. Pachirisu on the field, capable of redirecting any attack from Salamence now that Garchomp's slower thanks to that Rock Tomb. So it's a great play from Sagen to bring that back out.
Yeah, it can definitely help out a whole bunch here. A quick follow me prevents Salamence from creating any real threat here. And Garchomp counts as his pick of which of the Pokemon it wants to try to knock out. Jeudy likely going to need to switch one of the 2 here, but the other one's going to be in a lot of danger. He's kind of got to hope that Sagen guesses wrong about which of the 2 that he switches out. There's also the threat, too, of a Super Fang here, but we do see the follow me.
Yeah, follow me coming out from Pachirisu. Jeudy keeping both in. Rock Slide coming out from Tyranitar. Going to have to hope for a flinch onto that Garchomp. It looks like we do see some small damage on both. Draco Meteor from Jeudy onto that Pachirisu. Probably originally targeted for that Garchomp. Will connect, will deal some good damage, but we've already seen not enough. That Pachirisu's so bulky, if that Mo Rotom's Leaf Storm wasn't proof enough, it just tanked a Salamence Draco Meteor, and no flinch! So Rock Slide does come out from Garchomp. That should be a double KO. No! 2 HP from Salamence, but fortunately, we'll have to see, will the Sand stick around? Yes, one more turn of Sand does pick up the KO on Salamence, so double KO for Sagen that turn.
This game, he does get the Pokemon lead. A big 3-1 advantage that he still has his redirection available with Pachirisu here. So hard to imagine anything Jeudy can do here. I never thought I'd see the day where Pachirisu was a world champion, but it looks like we're on the verge of it here.
Yeah, and it looks like Mo Rotom is going to be Jody's last hope to keep the world safe from world champion Pachirisu. But up against the Garchomp and the Pachirisu. Pachirisu, of course, could take one for the team, use that follow me to redirect any attacks from Mo Rotom. But instead, Pachirisu is not going to do any of that. It's going right on the offensive. Super Fang going to take away half of Mo Rotom's health. Dragon Claw right back after a critical hit! A critical hit, and Sagen Park takes down Mo Rotom! And Sagen Park is your 2014 Pokemon World Video Game Champion in the Masters Division. The crowd is on their feet. Let's hear it for Sagen, everybody.
You see Sagen's react there. No player in the world deserved a world championship more than Sagen does.